Hey, Austin here with the Ascendancy podcast.
What's up, y'all? I'm Chris with the Ascendancy podcast. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode.
Awesome. Today we're going to be talking about fitness, the importance of it in general as vegans, activists, what we do as far as our own personal protocols, and what's a good starting point. So, Chris, to kick us off here, what do you feel is the significance, the importance of becoming physically fit? How does it affect us in our day-to-day life?
Yeah, great question. So, to me, fitness is extremely important because our bodies are designed to move over millions of years of evolution. And when you look at society today, there's so many things that kind of involve just being sedentary and not moving around as much. But, our bodies really thrive best when we are physically fit and we're moving around and just kind of keeping the engine lubricated, so to speak. I mean, there's countless benefits toward long-term longevity, reducing your risk of disease, cancer, and such, and improving your well-being on a day-to-day, weekly basis. We can, look at stress tolerance and, just basically improving mental health, overall well-being. There's an endless range of benefits that come from pursuing fitness and improving your fitness over time. And that's why I'm excited for today's episode. I actually studied kinesiology in Penn State, and I graduated with a bachelor's of science in kinesiology. So this field is right up my alley. I studied it in school, and it's super important to me, and it's really changed my life. So I'm excited to get into it. And in general, that's kind of the importance of fitness to me is just being able to be healthy, be strong for your family, for your loved ones, and to live a long, fulfilled life, reduce your risk of disease and all that. So that's what it is to me. And throw it back to you, Austin. Do you have anything to add or to say in that regard?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're fortunate here, Chris is an actual expert in the field, is actually educated, so he's the right person for the job on this episode. And I'm a lifelong fitness enthusiast myself, and it just transcends into every single facet of life when it comes to your overall health, longevity, potential lifespan, just feeling good and sharp on a day-to-day basis, like when it comes to your resting blood pressure and your most significant markers when it comes to combating the deadliest diseases, fitness just plays an ever-present role, across everything. So I think it's just crucial for everyone to, be into fitness, to live your best life and be healthy, happy, confident, happy with your body and physique. And it just, if there's anything that we can do that has benefits across every aspect of life, pursuing physical fitness is surely one of them. And in addition to it being vital, just for everyone in general and living a good life, super important for vegans and activists, especially. Chris, what's your thought? What are your thoughts on that? Why would you say pursuing fitness is crucial for activists?
Yeah, I think keeping your fitness up and improving your fitness is super important for vegans and activists alike for multiple reasons. So I think a good place to start is that vegans and activists tend to have a lot of, we carry a lot of baggage in our bodies and our minds about what's going on to animals on a daily basis, and it becomes, traumatizing to witness what they're going through, and it really causes us to feel a lot of anger, a lot of pain, a lot of anguish inside, and frustration to see that the world is not maybe changing at the rate that we'd like to see it. But in my experience with fitness and with so many others, it's really like nothing like a good workout really helps blow off that steam and just kind of make you feel a little better, make you feel like you're building the bricks one by one to, build a better life for yourself and also just kind of get those endorphins in your bloodstream and just feel better about, what you're doing and your efforts. And it just takes that edge off, so to speak. So I think just from that like stress management perspective, fitness is super important, whether that be going for a swim, going for a hike, getting a lot of steps in each day. There's so many different things that you can do to be fit and to improve your fitness that help with all those things. And another important subject is just kind of the way that the public perceives vegans, because there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation about vegan diets, vegan nutrition, whether vegan people can be healthy and to be able to thrive. And I think it's important for vegans and activists to take their fitness seriously, because it may seem unfair, but we are under a bit of a microscope when it comes to other people kind of perceiving us. Because if we are unfit and unhealthy and sickly looking, it kind of makes the movement look bad, and it makes it seem like vegan nutrition is inadequate, that this lifestyle can't support good health. And that kind of hurts our argument, our influence for creating the world we want to create. Moving toward a vegan world where animals' rights are respected and where a plant-based food system predominates. So it's kind of incumbent upon us to be good examples and to lead the way and to show people that you can be healthy and you can thrive on a vegan diet. And that's pretty much like one of the most important things, I think, especially for me when it comes to fitness. I take it super seriously, and I always try to manage my stress and my habits and my behaviors, and go to the gym consistently just to be that good example. So, and in your perspective, Austin, what do you think the importance is of fitness for vegans and activists?
I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest impacts is stress management. People in general, between work and other responsibilities and obligations, can have a relatively stressful life, but when you throw in activism in the mix, especially if someone's really on it, doing in-person activism multiple times per week, engrossed in it, as part of their whole life, it's so important to do something to de-stress, decompress, have some endorphins in your brain. And I think that working out, pursuing fitness is a great way to do that. And it just builds resilience overall. It builds willpower, it builds discipline, and that just transcends into activism as well. And it's unfair and it sucks, but people really are visual. People really do focus on aesthetics, and they see things in terms of like, okay, well, this person is vegan, but I'm stronger than them or I'm fitter than them. Maybe what they're saying is going to have some negative impact on me because this person is weak, and if I go vegan, I'll be weak too. And it's not really, logical. It's not a scientific approach, but it is a way that people think. And I think if you have two people have this vegan message, one person is very out of shape, in a very poor state, and on another hand, you have the best version of this example in terms of fitness. Even though it's not, fair, people will take the fitter person more seriously, or at least not have these excuses when it comes to protein or health, at least not as much, because they'll see, okay, this person is physically fit, they're strong visually. I'm gonna have assign a bit more credibility, to what they're saying. Now, does that mean that if you're a vegan, you have to be jacked or something to be a good activist? No, absolutely not. Not in the slightest. But it is something to consider when it comes to how people perceive us. So it's something that can give us a little bit of an edge. I would say, though, if you're watching this right now, don't feel like you need to be fit to speak up for the animals or something like this. I would say be fit because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be happy and to be as strong as you can be and to be happy and to really improve, your physiology. And this is a way to do it by working out and doing hobbies, sports, things that can potentially benefit you. And as we were saying, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about vegans relating to fitness. Chris, in your experience, what are some of the myths and misconceptions that you've heard over the years as a vegan?
Yeah. So at this point, Austin and myself have heard it all, through our activism, through engaging with hundreds, thousands of people, cumulatively over the course of several years, in person, online. We've heard you can't get protein, you can't get iron, you can't get B12, you can't get zinc, you can't get XYZ amino acid that our bodies can actually make on their own from other foods that we consume. We've heard that vegans can't build enough strength over the long term, that they can't exceed in sports, and all these myths are, as we'll go into in a little bit, completely false. The science is really clear that when a vegan diet is planned properly, it can support one's nutrition needs, athletic goals, and overall just support a good lifestyle. So before we delve into some of the myths, we do want to touch on nutrition a little bit because a lot of people don't really have a picture of what vegans are actually eating. That's part of the problem. People can't see how vegans can be fit if in their head they only think that they eat lettuce or grass every day. Like just go for a walk, and if you're hungry, just get on your knees and start munching the grass. Like that's what people think. So I'll pitch it back to Austin before we go into some of the myths.
The one vitamin or supplement that every person should take is the one they're deficient in. So I would say a good starting point, regardless of where someone is to do some blood work, see what they lack and what they need. Um, but every supplement or every nutrient, I should say, is readily obtainable as a vegan. For example, tofu has about twice the iron per serving as cow flesh. When it comes to omega 3s, you're not going to find a better source than algae oil. So that's a really easy, simple supplement. When it comes to protein, regardless of the source, the optimal amount for gaining muscle is 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And that's really, really easy to obtain. And you can get that through tofu, seitan, which is wheat gluten, um, textured vegetable protein, and then things like beans and legumes, they have a bit, but they're a bit less sparse. If you're someone and you're like a moderate fitness enthusiast, you're working out for say 45 minutes, an hour a day, you really don't need to consume that much protein relative to what you probably think. What I would recommend doing is logging a day of eating or a week of eating into Chronometer, seeing where you're at as far as protein consumption, and seeing if you're at 1.6 grams per kilo of weight. If not, then up the tofu consumption, up the seitan, even up the mock meat. It makes it really easy. And if you're falling short, consume some protein powder.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's great. I do want to touch on just some of the staple foods that I eat and that Austin probably eats as well. So I eat a lot of starchy potatoes. I eat vegetables, of course, fruits. I eat probably 32 bananas a week. So that's a huge staple in my diet. I eat pasta, I eat beans, I eat rice. These are all basic foods that everyone eats that, they may not interpret as vegan because, it's just food. Ultimately, vegans eat normal food just like everyone else, except we don't eat the same, 4 or 5 dead animals or their secretions. So many hundreds of foods that are available, and people really get fixated on just a few items. But really, it's just you look at the grocery store. It's chock full of amazing, healthful plant-based foods that are cheap. You can get frozen produce that are fresh if you want to save money. There's an abundance of recipes online. So when it comes to planning your vegan diet, there's so many things that are available to be able to support your fitness goals. And that kind of segues into the myths that we talked about. So when it comes to all these nutrients, the only reason protein, zinc, iron, omega-3, the only reason these nutrients are actually in animal flesh or in animal secretions is because the animals got the nutrients from the plants directly, from what the earth, creates. So there's no reason that we have to get those nutrients from those sources. Our bodies care about nutrients and not as much about where they come from. So just due to our anatomy and how humans, as far as I understand, are frugivores, we're opportunistic feeders. We're able to subsist on a wide variety of foods compared to other species that may depend on just certain things. So with that knowledge and with the scientific, data, it shows that we can get our nutrients and, maintain healthful levels of, albumin and other nutrients, B12 in our bloodstreams. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. So that's why, whenever you see people say, oh, vegans can't get, choline, vegans can't get carnitine, it's all false because our bodies can either create them endogenously by basically using other amino acids that we consume from plant foods to create them, or those nutrients are present in plant foods and the person who's saying it is just ignorant of that. So that's why, all those myths just kind of fall by the wayside when you look at, our our anatomy, the scientific data. That's all that we really need to disprove those myths.
Absolutely. One thing that I think it's important to look at too is the position of the Academy, Nutrition, Dietetics. They base their opinion on 117 studies, including meta-analyses and systematic reviews, that vegans can have a long lifespan comparable or greater to non-vegans and with fewer chronic diseases. And the vegans in these studies aren't even necessarily doing everything right, everything perfectly, and they're still obtaining equal to or superior health outcomes. When a person consumes animals, all of the potential harmful materials within farming, pesticides, herbicides, etc., are bioaccumulating in animals. And animal agriculture is an inherently inefficient step in turning plant matter and what goes into it, land, water, sunlight, nutrients into food. It's a huge bottleneck on resources, and it is ultimately unnecessary. But more so than that, it is an unjust step. And people have a lot of these excuses and myths regarding nutrition, often just as an excuse to deflect from their from their own behavior, but also because there's a lot of marketing. There's billions of dollars of marketing that they've been exposed to over their life, telling them that they need to consume animals for these reasons, but the science just simply doesn't show it. So it's a falsehood. And again, as I said, I would highly recommend going into Chronometer, logging your diet, seeing where all of your nutrients come out to. Most people will find that they'll have the majority of what they need dietarily just from having a varied and normal diet with foods they can readily get at the store. But then it's a good way to identify potential shortcomings just to get everything optimal, from good to optimal. And Chris, what are your own personal fitness routines, and what are your future goals as well?
Yeah, so my current fitness routine consists of a push-pull leg split in the gym with some slight modifications. So it's essentially 6 days a week. So for example, first day I'll do pushing muscles. So that's going to be mostly chest, triceps, shoulders, all the muscles that help push things away from my body or, push my body away from the bar of the floor. The next day will be pulling exercises. So mostly back, biceps, muscles that help pull objects toward me or pull myself toward the bar. And then the next day will be legs. So I train obviously squats and, hamstrings, train my quads. And I basically repeat. So it's push pull legs, and then rest. So that's 6 days a week. And my schedule allows me to, but really it's possible to build any type of fitness routine that works for your schedule. So you can make great fitness progress with just 3 days a week. Two is a little light. Ideally, you would want to try to get to three. But honestly, when you look at, society, any amount of fitness is good. So if you can only get in once a week, twice a week, and, do your steps, do your burpees in your house, hit the gym, get on the Stairmaster, let's go for a swim. There's all these things that you can get involved with. It's all a good step in the right direction. But when it comes to actually building lean tissue, I would suggest definitely getting in there at least 3 days a week. So more specifically with my routine, I'm really into calisthenics. I've been really just uh, I just find a lot more pleasure and enjoyment out of just mastering my body weight and moving my body in athletic ways compared to just lifting a barbell up and down or lifting a dumbbell or a cable up and down. It really feels like I'm learning how to navigate my body through space and, learn skills and things that, people don't really see every day. So I practice handstands regularly. I do weighted calisthenics. So I do pull-ups with additional weight, hanging off my hips. I do weighted dips with additional weight hanging off my hips. And when it comes to squats, I just do, low bar squats on my first leg day. And then I do high bar squats on my second leg day with slight variations in intensity and absolute load. And right now, it's, I live a really active lifestyle, so I burn a lot of calories. So my fitness progress has stalled a little bit just because I'm at maintenance. So I'm kind of eating as many calories as I'm burning, which is 4,500 a day. So fitness progress has slowed a little bit just because I'm not eating. It's really hard to eat 5,000 plus calories a day to make those gains that are on the table. So for this time, I'm just kind of at maintenance and trying to squeeze out any gains I can from that. When I was younger, I played a lot of basketball, and I was really into just kind of playing pickup with the guys at the college court. And I'm not into that as much, but I do get a lot of steps in each day, around 15 to 20,000 steps. And I skip rope as well. And I also do a little bit of boxing, just kind of working the heavy bag. It's really good cardio workout as well. So I do those twice a week. So what do you do, Austin, in your fitness routine? And what
Yeah,
are
man.
some of your goals?
Not as athletic as Chris, but I have a fairly similar routine. I do weighted calisthenics, weighted pull-ups, dips. Without weights, I can do about 20 strict form pull-ups, about 30 strict form dips. And I find that adding weight to calisthenics is just so crucial for progressive overload. That's one of the sort of pitfalls of calisthenics is that one of the only ways to modulate it is just by adding more reps or slowing down your movement potentially to have more time under tension. But I find that adding weight really helps for building muscle when it comes to calisthenics. So my routine is like day one, weighted calisthenics. So pull-ups, dips, I hit arms, biceps, triceps. Next day, I'm doing a bit more chest isolation, shoulder work. I do legs, and then I repeat for the last 2 days. My routine is really upper body heavy. I find that my legs grow a bit faster than upper body, so I don't need to spend as much time working on legs. And I find that 1 day per week for me for legs is more than adequate. I also run. I run for about a mile a day, and then some days I run for up to 5 miles because it's just so crucial for overall health to do some cardio. And it's cool to be strong, but it sucks to, have the strength but not the cardiovascular performance and the ability to run. So I think it's really, really crucial Also, right now, I'm sitting for this podcast, but I work standing up. I try to avoid sitting down and laying unless I'm, in bed to fall asleep. When people are seated, that impairs blood flow and that causes some cardiovascular damage. So if you have the ability to stand, during work or throughout the day, can't recommend it enough. It's super important. And Chris, if someone isn't into fitness or working out just yet, what would you recommend to them to get started?
Yeah, so my tips to get started is to just take it as a baby step. When it comes to forming new habits, it's important to just get started. So you don't need to wait for motivation to kick in. Often you won't feel motivated to start, but usually once you get going and you start to see results over time, the motivation will kick in and then it just becomes a regular habit, as it is for myself and Austin. So those are some good tips that Austin just recommended. So if you work from home, think about getting a standing desk. Just sitting for less hours per day can already have a great impact on your mental health and just, the integrity of your body. So you basically can set up your computer on a standing desk and stand for as long as you can. And eventually, if you do need to have a seat, you can plop down in that seat, rest a bit, and then get back up and stand. And that's already a really good step. You can also just walk around the neighborhood, talk on the phone with a friend. Instead of doing it on the couch, you can think about doing that while you're outside walking in around your neighborhood or in a local hiking trail, perhaps. Or if maybe you don't live in a safe neighborhood, you could consider investing in a walking treadmill. So it's basically a really uh, not a very like large component where you can put it in your living room. And instead of a conventional treadmill with like rails on the side and a screen in front, it's just kind of like a conveyor belt that you walk on right in your living room. So that's a great way to get your steps in, increase your basal metabolic rate, and just burn calories, while you're just chilling, listening to music, listening to podcasts, talking on the phone with somebody. Um, and also, I would recommend consulting YouTube for, maybe workout ideas or workout routines. I have a little bit of that on my YouTube channel. And of course, if you have any questions or want help with kind of getting into the gym or building muscle, me and Austin will be more than happy to help you with that. And that's the theme of kind of what I have to say here is just to start where you can, just take it as a baby step. You don't have to build it up to be like this massive, undertaking when it comes to your fitness journey. It's just start simple, start slow, be consistent with it. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up over it, but try to get back in the next day, whether that be your burpees in your house, your steps around the block, or, doing the elliptical a little bit at the gym. Just get in there, get started. What tips do you have, Austin, for people wanting to get started with their fitness routines?
I would say make it a habit, just like brushing your teeth in the morning or putting on your clothes before work is something very basic. Just consider it as a habit to do every day. And when you view it as a habit, you're going to be much more consistent. And let's say some days we feel off or, just we didn't get good sleep, etc. It's good to just get it over with and build up, and it's better to have, a few bad workouts than to put it off, which can completely eliminate it as a habit. So I think that's really important. And start slow, start where you are, but eventually get a fitness routine where when you go to the gym, you have a plan. You already have something written down, laid out, so you know exactly what you're going to be doing when you're there. But I'm not the expert on the subject. Chris, would you agree with that as far as having a routine and taking it that way and viewing it as a habit, or would you say something a bit different?
Yeah, I think those are great tips. Something that I just thought of that's could be helpful is to try to get into fitness with a buddy, or a family member or sibling. Humans are social creatures, so it can be a lot easier to begin your fitness journey or to start taking your fitness more seriously if you're doing it with somebody as opposed to doing it by yourself. And another key thing Austin mentioned, which I really like, is kind of writing down what your plan is so that you can go into your workout, know exactly what you want to do. So it's like, okay, I'm doing 3 sets of 10 of burpees, or I'm skipping rope for 5 minutes, or I'm going to be on the treadmill at this incline at this speed for this amount of time. You're going in with a plan so that when you're there, you're not guessing what to do or you're overwhelmed by everything you might see in the facility or in the gym. You've got it written down so you have a plan. And another benefit to that is that you can track your progress over time. So the next time you go in for your workout, you can look and see what you did last time, and you can build upon that and see how you can improve by implementing progressive overload. So just kind of trying to make the exercise or the workout just, a little bit harder, 1% harder, 5% harder, just adding a little bit of weight, another rep here or there, another set here or there, and just slowly improving over time. So I do like what Austin had to say there for sure.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. That wraps up this episode. Everyone, thank you for viewing. We appreciate it. Peace.
Yep. Thank you guys. Peace out.